Real golf talk. This is Play It Where It Lies, a Bash Brothers Media golf show and podcast.
This is Play It Where It Lies. I'm John Wiener, alongside the Gent, Stuart, Conway. Stuart, I got my teeth cleaned this morning at the dentist. I don't know if there's more miserable experience on God's great earth than them poking that little scraper hook thing in your teeth for an hour.
No, don't like that at all. And I will tell you what's even worse than that. And I will tell everybody. Rapid weight loss is very bad for your golf game.
I could vouch for that, but I could vouch for you also looking good. You didn't hit it so great.
No.
But we'll examine that a little bit. You're looking good.
Thank you.
We're feeling good, and we're glad you're with us here on Play It Where It Lies. April 22nd, we've joked that this is sort of the Masters hangover show.
Yeah.
After Tiger Woods' win last week. We appreciate everybody for tuning in last week. It was a really exciting show. Had a lot of views all across our platforms. Congratulations to Chad Dickens for winning our Play It Where It Lies promotion giveaway. He won a Bridgestone golf hat, Bass Brothers golf hat, a sleeve of Pro V1s from Gulf States Golf Cars, and some other good swag as well.
Treasure those Pro V1s.
Don't lose them. Congratulations to Chad. And this is, again, Play It Where It Lies. Good show coming up. We'll have Play It, Drop It, Roll It, all kinds of different topics, a fun segment. Our Tough Lies coming up later in the show. We're going to look at public golf in Mississippi or not.
Yeah.
Might have said not public golf.
Not public
in
golf.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
Not much good public golf. Yeah. And speaking of good golf in Mississippi, Ole Miss women's golf coach Kory Henkes will join us. Stuart, the SEC championship this past weekend in dramatic fashion.
Indeed. And it was dramatic. It was very dramatic, you know. I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
You guy, you're a Mississippi guy.
Come on.
So, are they the Rebels or are they the Land Sharks?
Oh, they're definitely the Rebels. I mean, Mississippi State fans will call them like the Rebel Bear Sharks because, they were the Black Bears at once also. But no, Rebels always. I wanted no part of the shark or the bear.
I saw a picture of them, the whole golf team together holding the trophy, and they've all got the Land Shark signal going.
Well, someone said that the guys aren't winning because they put the stupid Land Shark on the golf hat. It's like a swinging shark with a golf club. We'll see if we'll talk to Kory Henkes about the Land Shark logo, but we're definitely going to talk to her about the first SEC Women's Championship in school history. Their freshman, Macy Samoski, hits a 51-footer on the 18th hole to force a playoff and sudden death in the championship match.
Yeah.
Doesn't get much more dramatic than that. We'll start with our tee shots. And Stuart, you and I went out and played a round this past week, our first Play It Where It Lies round of the year. And I thought there were some interesting things that came out of it in terms of the psychology in golf and warm-ups.
Yes.
And, I hadn't played in weeks.
Right.
And shot the best round of my year.
Right.
Now I'm a 5.4 on the
played
index.
Incredibly well.
Shot 72. I hadn't played in weeks
Yeah.
and didn't have a warm-up.
Yeah.
You also had not played in weeks and didn't have a warm-up, and it was a much different result for you.
It was a very different result for me, John. And I think that it goes, I would say that in years past, when I was young and lithe and there, warm-ups were only important as far as getting a little bit of a swing going with it. Now it's really paramount that I warm up before I go out and play.
Sure, just to get the body loose.
Yeah, back is stiff. And never really got going with the round at all. It was always there in me, with holding back, this and that. But when you're young and when you're playing well, that first round out can always be your best one, and the second one is the one to watch out for.
That's the point I want to get at. Is that it's not really to do with sort of me or you, but I thought it was instructive in how we play golf. And I'll say a couple of things. For one, or I'll ask you, why is it that when you haven't played in 2-3 weeks, as I haven't, that a lot of times that can be your best round?
It can be, because I think that your expectation is really low on it. You don't expect to go out. I haven't played in a while. I'm not going to play particularly well. You play with more of a cavalier attitude in the game.
It's like my words on my notes are free and fun.
Yeah.
You are. There's a certain element of I don't know if freedom is quite the right word, but like you say, I think low expectations is another way to put it.
Starts off with low expectations, and then what happens is as you start the round and you start making some pars and maybe a couple of birdies, suddenly your round becomes a whole lot more enjoyable to play, a lot of fun, and things start dropping, things start going your way.
But then, and then you can also then start thinking about the score. You play your first 7, 8 holes, and you're just free. And then it's like, oh man, I'm even par. I'm playing the best round of my life.
Kill of all rounds is scorekeeping. Yeah.
Well, and so to continue that, and the second point though, in terms of having not played in 2 or 3 weeks, right? You can sometimes, because you play free and you're out there to, just go play and have some fun.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how that frees you up.
Yeah.
I also think like not actually hitting balls. Like I don't like to hit balls. Not only is it like, do I not need a warm up? I don't want a warm up.
Everybody's different. Everybody has a different way of addressing the game and getting themselves started. As say for me, the warm up now is exactly that. I don't want to
warm up.
I don't want to pull my back out on the first tee.
And that's important because I think when you warm up, you should get the body loose.
Yes.
But it's so easy to, the phrase, play golf, don't play golf swing.
Yes.
When I start warming up, I immediately start thinking golf swing, and you can hit a bad shot on the range or you might hit it good and then you try to replicate what you're doing. There's also an element when you don't hit balls that you kind of go play golf, I mean, we literally walked from the parking lot to the tee and just threw it down. And there's I think I see warm-ups a lot of times get people in this golf swing mode instead of golf.
Well, I agree with you totally on there. And the way I look at a warm-up as far as the only thing I really watch is ball flight. I find out how am I hitting the ball today? Is it going left, straight, right? And I begin the round with that expectation.
I see.
So if I've got a little fade today on the range, I'll start off aiming down the left side, playing for that little fade.
See, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like golf is so finicky.
Yeah.
To me, it's so swing for swing, shot for shot can be different. That's just the point. If like I'm hitting a fade on the range and then I get into that, like who knows what's going to happen when you get to the course, Well, you are a consistent player, so I guess you have
generally. I was consistently
you were
awful
consistently off the course
this week.
The other day.
I played on Sunday and it was no better.
What's your tip for a warm up for your average 12 handicapper?
Well, I think to go out there, the first thing is to make sure that your body is working correctly. That's stretch the muscles out, get yourself ready to hit golf balls on there. And the warm up is don't just stand there and pound 30 drivers out there. It's a matter of start off with some wedges and hit more wedges almost than anything else, just to get the feel of them and this and that. Work your way up. I generally would say that I wouldn't go through my entire bag, but I'd probably take 5 clubs and 3 or 4 balls with each club.
2 clubs, wedges and hybrids.
Yeah.
Just because I think, again, I know how finicky the psychology is of golf. Like another thing you can do on the range, you hit 2 or 3 bad shots, and all of a sudden you got negativity in your head.
But
you're thinking about bad shots in your head. So I like hitting wedges and hybrids because they're the easiest clubs to hit. You want to get loose, but you don't want to hit bad shots. Groove some wedges where you can kind of feel it on the face. And hybrids generally pretty easy to hit. You can bang them, get the body a little looser. I'm a big believer in doing like as little as possible in the warm-up.
I always think you should finish with your first tee shot. So in other words, the last 3 balls I hit are going to be my tee shot on the first tee.
You and Tiger.
That's the way it is, and I think it's a great philosophy for it. Now, it works for me.
I think if you can control your ball flight like that, I think for your average 16, 18 handicap, I think it's all about, I just think it's so much about generating
You're way
confidence.
better than a 12 handicap. I mean, you have 4 or 5 or 3 or whatever, 2, you could
5.4.
Well, and the whole point is, for each person, it's slightly different. Some players would need to go out. Rory McIlroy claims he only needs a 10-minute warm-up.
Sometimes you can just get to the tee an hour late, oversleep the wrong time zone and just go to work. And Rory is, I think, Stuart, it's kind of a similar deal. Like he's at his best, it feels like, when he's just playing with feel, when he's playing golf and it's not all about, I hate to keep saying golf versus golf swing, but Rory and that limited warm-up, I think, is a good example because he's a guy that seems to be the best when he's just letting it go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think playing with freedom is a great asset when you're playing golf.
Also, you talked about the score, and we'll finish and move to our retee. Another guy making another appearance in a retee for like our 4th or 5th show. But Henkes said something. He said, "John, I've seen you every time when you have a career round going like that. Sure enough, that big number is coming on 16 or 17 or 18. Yeah. It's amazing what playing someone else and playing a match versus playing your own score can do. Because late in that round, I'm thinking about beating you. I'm thinking about beating Rick, and you're not thinking about beating your score.
That's exactly right. You just want to win that $10.
Was that it? You sure?
From me anyway. You want money from everybody.
But it's just, it's so interesting, the psychology of this game and confidence and the lack of it and, warm-ups versus not. And when you expect to play well, you don't. Just when you're ready to curse the game forever, you hold the 50-footer, and it's just, it's remarkable.
All's right with the world again.
It's remarkable. This is Play It Where It Lies. He's Stuart Conway. I'm John Wiener. We'll go to our re-tee. Dustin Johnson, Stuart, tees off at the final group of the RBC Heritage with a one-shot lead in the final group and put up hockey sticks. He shot 77, 41 going in, and finished T26.
Yeah.
He started in the final group, Stuart, and I got back from the range and looked and saw that CT Pan won and had to scroll down to find Dustin Johnson, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
No, it was a pretty horrendous back nine he had, and just to say it that he birdied 18 to shoot 77.
Yeah.
So it could, a par would
It
have
was
it would
tied
have been
for the
78
lead after the front nine.
And 3 bogeys in a row and then 2 double bogeys. And he just collapsed. I mean, he was hitting the ball left the whole back nine. It was just like the world had changed for him, and he wanted to play out the pine straw and the trees and the bushes and the shrubs, and just gave himself no chance.
I've got WTF in capital
You do.
letters. So
You do.
on my notes, like a 77 in the final group.
Yeah.
I'll give you an interesting stat that I saw. It's the third time that Dustin Johnson has shot 77 in the final group. He's done it 3 times. No one has done that more than once in 40 years.
Wow. Now, that's quite a stat.
You go all the way back to Pebble Beach in 2010, the final round of the U.S. Open in the final group. He shot 77 here. 2000, what are we in 19 now?
19.
Is this 2019? Man, they're all flying by. Almost 9 years later, it's kind of, again, we've talked about this, a little bit of the same old DJ. Was this a bad day, or was this once again? And then you look at that stat and say, man, is this what he's about?
No, this is DJ. I think DJ has the propensity to do this type of thing.
Yeah.
Every now and again, it'll just come out of the woodwork, and it just goes horribly wrong for him. And it does for everybody. Has this every now and again, and I don't think this is a trend for him in any way. Next week he'll be just the same, or the next time he plays, it'll just be this. He'll be back to where he was.
I mean, when you put yourself in the position as many times as he does, which he does more than anyone on the PGA Tour. Yeah. And we're going to come up in our Play It, Drop It, Roll It segment. We'll look at kind of a big statement on Dustin Johnson and the PGA Tour. That is part of it. Is he puts himself there more than anyone. Had a T2 in the Masters last week, but also he has a penchant for self-destruction. Maybe more than anyone other than Rory.
He does. I mean, Poulter was up. If you look at the top players, the players who were at the leaderboard, Poulter, Lowry, Dustin Johnson, they all just fell away and fell away. And, you were right to be surprised that CT Pan won. I mean, he was in the clubhouse sitting down having a cup of coffee, and finds out he's won a golf tournament. It's
pretty much.
But, that's the 7th first-time winner this year.
Really?
Yeah. Which is I think is a remarkable stat. And one thing I'll put to you on at this moment here. Okay. So I'm looking at some of the people who've won this year, and I'm looking at CT Pan, and I'm looking at Cameron Champ in particular.
Now, are we talking about Cameron Champ's win here?
Yes,
So, like last season, this season?
Last year, this season.
Okay, now that makes more sense, because I'm thinking since January. I was like, man, that many? Okay, now that makes more sense.
Last year, this season. Yeah. So first-time winners. And I'm looking at players like that and wondering to myself, where would they be in the rankings or in the money if they hadn't won those golf tournaments? And what else did they do for the rest of the year? And really, how can you justify your player's card by 1 week of the year, which falls to you? I don't know.
It's a really good question, and I want to maybe come back to it and play it, drop it, roll it. Okay. Because we're going to look at Braden Thornberry. I think we've talked about that with Jonathan Randolph as well. Yeah. And in terms of consistency throughout the year, week to week, or the ability to bottle it all in 1 week.
Yeah.
And they're two very different types of players.
Yeah.
I think it's a good point for you to say, are we rewarding it in the right way on the PGA Tour? I hadn't considered that, but I think it's a very valid question here. It's the good, the bad, and the hard in golf. He's Stuart the Gent Conway with Gulf States Golf Cars, Highway 51 in Ridgeland. That's where my teeth were getting clean today.
In Richmond?
Right up the road from Gulf States Golf Cars. I would have rather been run over by one of your golf carts than had that woman with the little hook pick thing. If there's a hell, there's a woman cleaning your teeth in it 24/7, 365 for eternity. We're glad you're with us. Play it where it lies. Stay good.
Golf puts you in tough spots. We play it where it lies.
And this is Stuart Conway alongside John Wiener, and we are about to get into one of my favorite parts of the show.
Play it, drop it, roll it, and some good stuff coming up after that as well. Don't miss Ole Miss women's golf coach Kory Henkes' first SEC championship in school history. Really made all the headlines and stole the show in college golf this past weekend. Reminder, you can get the show on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, podcast version. Just search Bash Brothers Media, or, of course, play it where it lies. Okay, play it, drop it, roll it. We put you in a tough spot, and you play it, and you say, no, I don't think so. I'm going to drop it, and there can be a roll in there at your discretion, we'll say.
Okay.
Put it that way.
Okay.
The long bunker shot is the hardest shot in golf. Play it, drop it, roll it.
I'm playing it if we're talking about a bunker shot, which is 30 yards
That's
to
what
the
I'm talking
green.
about.
Yeah. So I'm playing it. It's an incredibly difficult shot to get that to get the right amount of sand between you and the ball, to get the right amount of spin on it, whether to play it with spin, whether to play it with roll or the chunk and run type of shot. It's a tough golf shot to get that anywhere near. I would call it probably the lowest percentage shot in golf.
I'm going to drop it because I see one shot consistently. And again, we can say you put it behind a tree. I mean, shots you consistently get. I think the downhill pitch shot is the toughest shot in golf because I think in terms of, and we're talking about for amateurs and your general 12 handicapper, I think that you can get it out of the long bunker shot and, have your next shot. I think in some ways we make it too hard trying to hit the perfect shot with the long bunker shot, but it's just that downhill pitch, Stuart, takes, you can't stop the ball. You so easily can chunk it, trying to control it. More often than not, you catch it low and just knock it off the green, but it's really, I think, almost an impossible shot unless you're just have incredible skill around the greens. I think it's the toughest shot to hit well.
I think so. It's a really good point.
That you consistently get on a course.
Yeah, and you get that shot more often than you get a long bunker shot. Which maybe it means you should practice it more.
Well, and the long bunker shot, at least we kind of know what you're supposed to do. I mean, I see people get these downhill pitch shots, and it's how do you hit it solid and stop the ball? I don't think there's much know-how out there to it.
No, I mean? It's a shot we don't practice, and of course that is then the wide difference between the good amateur and the excellent amateur and the pro golfer. They practice that shot.
They do.
So both of them, whether it be the long bunker shot or the downhill pitch, downhill, side hill, everything. So
kind of like the long bunker shot. I mean, you can get that same shot again, but if you get it out, you have a different shot. A lot of times with that downhill pitch, you leave it a foot there and have the exact same shot.
I think the answer to it might be that both of them probably have a low percentage of getting the ball out or keeping it on the green, and your next shot is probably not going to be a putt.
Avoid that shot. That's why if you can't hit it, well, don't hit it there. All right, what do we got?
Yeah, and now for you, 5 and 6 iron hybrids.
I'm going to roll this one because I think it depends.
Okay.
I'm all for whatever helps someone hit the golf ball better. I'm all for what helps you be comfortable hitting the golf ball. I think that, I won't say it's illegitimate to hit those shots with 5 and 6 iron hybrids. I won't say that by any means, but they're not for me. I've got a 3 hybrid. I think at that point you want to like feel the club. I know some people are like, oh, you got a 5 and a 6 hybrid. It's like whatever works, man. Like it doesn't work for me, so I'll roll it. I wouldn't want any part of it. But I see again, I see a lot of people, old and not with 5, 6 hybrids, and I think whatever works out there for you to hit it good and have some fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop it.
Okay,
I'm dropping it,
That's cold.
and I don't think that I don't think that particularly 6-iron. I can see going with a 5, but particularly a 6-iron hybrid. I'm finding it tough to accept that that's playing golf anymore.
Right.
Although
so that's what I mean. You're morally objecting to this. There's like a principle objection here.
Yeah, I am, and I know there are a lot of lady golfers out there who use them predominantly.
So if I go out and I've got like a 5, 6, even a 7 hybrid, and I'm just burying you, just hitting it to 6 feet every time, you're gonna put an asterisk by that. You're gonna let me know about it.
I'm gonna start, saying things.
Really, with the hybrid, and you should probably. That's interesting.
Yeah. No, it is. It's. I grew up in a different era playing golf.
So of all the technology these days, you can set the driver to like 16 different settings.
Oh,
like the ball goes right, I just turn the driver and make it go left. Like that's okay.
How often do people do that? I mean, I have to tell you that once I get a driver and a new driver, I set it. That's it. It never moves. I don't adjust it and change it, because it's not the driver that's changed. It's me if something's wrong. But yeah, the hybrid I think is one of those clubs that I'm not sure. Well, maybe it's got something to do with the fact that I play hybrids awfully, and I tend to hook the heck out of them. So
Stuart the Gent with the hybrid shade.
I'm not very gentlemanly to the ladies on that one.
Play it, drop. I'm all for it. Play it, drop it, roll it. Dustin Johnson, the world number 1, is the best in the world.
I'm playing it. I'm playing it still.
Me too.
He has an off week.
Yeah.
He has an off round. He has an off from 9 holes. Yeah, he's still the best player in the world. He's still the guy who is there and thereabouts every single week. He can drive the ball as well as anybody. Maybe only Rory can drive it better than him. But he's got all aspects of his game. His putting's improved to the point where it's an acceptable level of putting now. And I think overall he's still the number 1 in the world.
I'm going to play it also. Again, we talked about this. He puts himself in position so much, being so consistently great, that there becomes this knock that, well, he can't close. 20 wins on the PGA Tour. There's no one that's even close to that mark under 40. Basically, Tiger, Phil, and I guess,
Rory's up at around 15 or 16 around there.
Rory is there, certainly. But, I mean, DJ's still got Rory in wins by 6 or 7.
Yeah, he does.
To have the most wins on tour, I think that he is at his best, also the most skilled and kind of the best player. So I'm going to play it as well with Dustin Johnson. I just think if he, lose some of the late night activities and lose that brother as a caddy, I think Dustin Johnson would win like 5 or 6 majors.
I'm agreeing with you. Changing the caddy would be a great idea.
And Austin just going to get the brunt of our DJ hate because I want DJ to succeed so bad. We're just going to put it all on Austin.
Yeah, nothing wrong with Austin. Austin's probably the greatest guy, and everything
but that's
else.
The thing, you can't have Goon and Goon together. Like you can't have the Goon squad out there.
That's exactly right. So for the next one here, Top Golf in Jackson, Mississippi.
Now, is this do I want it, or is this the likelihood of Top Golf in Jackson, Mississippi?
No, it's do you want it, because the likelihood is probably we both know what the likelihood is.
If it's want it, then yeah, I'll play it.
Okay.
I think Top Golf's great. It's a lot of fun. I think people in Jackson, I'd imagine if the Top Golf had a shot here in the Metro, it'd have to be north of Jackson, up there in Madison.
Probably.
Where, the demographics a little higher in the income bracket, because Top Golf is not cheap.
No.
And I think that there's enough golf interest here in the Metro, without a doubt, to have a Top Golf. But I think the disposable income to support it day in and day out is not there. I love Top Golf. I've been to one in San Antonio. It's like, what could be better? You kidding me? The ball pops up, the beer comes to you, like the couches are all around you, and you just bang away.
Yeah, we're going out to Arizona this in a few weeks. I'm thinking that maybe I'm going to try and stop off and jump into a Top Golf somewhere.
Have you been to one?
No. Not been to one. I saw them when I was.
You will find them a marvel. I think.
Yeah, I saw the one being built on the Strip in Vegas when we were there last time, and it wasn't open when we were there, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I'm playing it if we want it.
Yeah.
I think our demographics. I think that the size of the town. I think they need millions rather than.
It's I read somewhere. I think it was $19 to $22 million to start a Topgolf franchise.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
But it, and then you see it with like the 6 stories and lights and
yeah.
TVs. It's just, I think it's a marvel of like modern man in some ways. If you're a golf person at all, I mean,
Maybe we could have a mini one.
why don't you finance one, man?
Good idea.
We're talking
Good
with the guy
idea.
here with the cash to do it.
Oh yeah,
Stuart Conway. I mean, we don't even need a GoFundMe account. We just need to like hit up the Play It Where It Lies Twitter page.
Well, I'll tell you this. I've probably got it in Hungarian forint, but not in US dollars.
Something tells me there's not a Topgolf over in Hungary.
There is not.
Here's an interesting one. I was thinking this weekend as the PGA Tour kind of takes the backstage for a couple of weeks. The LPGA Tour is more exciting than the Champions Tour.
How quickly can I say drop it?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't disagree more.
Really. I think that the LPGA Tour has a real issue with slow play.
The Champions don't?
No, not as much.
Not like the LPGA?
Yeah,
Okay.
the LPGA, it is painfully slow. And they
It is.
really need
You're
to.
right.
They really need to address that problem. And they read their books. They talk to their caddies. And unfortunately,
They hit 5 hybrids.
they hit 5 hybrids and 7 hybrids on occasion. I think that it is not that the people that those ladies have great ability. They have great skills. They are hitting the ball longer and longer now. They're all being able to get up to the par 5s or around in 2. They may be playing them a little shorter, but that's okay. This and that, and the quality of golf is really good, but I can't get over. Even my wife can't watch the ladies play golf.
Really?
She's not big into golf, but she can watch, a PGA Tour event with me for a short period. But as soon as the LPGA goes, she says, "So we're watching them all standing around talking to each other." And I think unfortunately that's the rap they've got, and that's the way I see it.
I'm going to play it. I couldn't disagree more with you in terms of just the topic because I think the LPGA Tour is a lot more exciting than the Champions Tour. I'll sign up to watch like a major LPGA Sunday before a Champions Tour Sunday in a heartbeat.
Okay.
The slow play rule doesn't bother me as much generally as it does some, like even on the PGA Tour. I don't know why. It's just never, like when I'm watching, it's slow already.
Oh, yeah.
When I'm watching golf on a Sunday afternoon, like this is not basketball. Like when I play, I want to play quicker, but like I get it, like for some people, but for me, it's never as much of a viewing issue. And so I think that the LPGA is just so much more interesting and new in a way. I mean, the Champions Tour, it is great to see the greats of the game and everything, but like Kirk Triplett and Scott McCarron banging it around on a Sunday, like
I'm going to tell you what.
is good golf to watch, but
really
it's not
good
as
golf.
interesting as like I watched Lydia Ko and Lexi Thompson a couple of weeks ago in the ANA, and just the uniqueness of that pairing, the differences of the girls. Now I know there's a lot of South Korean golfers that I think aren't distinguished quite as much, but even that element of like the South Korean takeover and the American contingent and then the college stars that come into the game. I just think because of the international flavor, I think because honestly, even though it is dominated by South Koreans right now in so many ways, the diversity on tour compared to the champions, and I just and the playing styles also. I mean, the difference in Lydia Ko and Lexi Thompson is vast in terms of how they approach it. So I think it's just a lot more interesting.
Well, I concur, and I guess again we can go back. We are from different generations. These guys that are 50 plus 60, they're my age group. I grew up with these guys. They were my friends on TV for years. These young ladies.
You feel like you know Kirk Triplett?
I tell you, have you ever? You should really get behind Kirk Triplett. The next time you go to a PGA,
This
get
is
behind
a Kirk
him
Triplett conversation.
and watch that guy on the driving range hit long irons that tower. He has the most beautiful swing, and he's
all of those guys on the Champions Tour. They just ball their asses off. I mean,
McCarron
it's
is almost as long as he was when he was on the tour. Great player, great players. And good guys, good guys. Bit of a playboy there. Okay, so Jim Furyk.
Who's a playboy?
McCarron.
Oh, well, now I've got an interest in McCarron then. All right.
Yeah. Jim Furyk is a Hall of Famer.
I'm going to drop this one.
Okay.
I don't think Jim Furyk. Well, man, I chose these quickly. I'm actually going to change it. I'm going to play that one. I think Jim Furyk is a Hall of Famer. And here's what I'm going to differentiate. I think this is an example of where we put a little too much stock on measuring guys simply by how many majors they've won. Jim Furyk has been a star and an elite player on the PGA Tour for close to 2 decades. Furyk is a Hall of Fame player, like in that sense, you know, kind of in the way Brandel Chambly was using it, talking about Nick Price versus Brooks Koepka. Furyk's got like 16 wins and 1 major, which is about the cutoff. That's why he's in here. And a lot of people had said if he had won the Players' Championship, if he had won it, that would have put him over the top for the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I think if Furyk had 1 more major, this would be a no-brainer. I think Furyk is a Hall of Fame player. I'm going to play it.
I'm going to roll this one because I think that Furyk is probably a Hall of Famer based on his playing abilities and what he's done for the game and how he handles himself. Him and his wife Tabitha have done, you know, great charity work and things like that.
Good job there.
But that, you know, that only having that 1 major. I mean, I thought that now they'd brought in a rule that you had to have 2 majors.
Well, like we talked about this last week, Fred Couples is in the Hall of Fame with 1 major and 15, 16 wins.
Yeah, but Colin Montgomery is in it with no majors. You know, but that era is now past. You know, and I think that the PGA Championship, the Tour Championship in 2010 doesn't qualify him for another major. So, you know, at this moment, I'm saying I don't think he's going to get in, but does he deserve to? As much as anybody else, he does.
Play it, drop it, roll it. Hit the short putts hard.
Well, like any putt,
an interesting one.
it's an interesting one. I think that I like the short putt hard. I mean, so long as you're comfortable with the putt coming back.
Yeah, that's why I'm dropping this one. Like, hit short putts hard at your own peril.
Yeah,
hit an uphill short putt hard, maybe a little more. Hit it firm.
The point with hitting a short putt hard is so that you take out all the break. You just hit it in the middle of the hole firmly, and it drops in. I'm awful at it. I go to hit it hard at that, and you know those little breaks right at the end of those short putts where it gets
and
to the hole, it just
starts
starts wobbling.
Like a 9-footer coming back.
Yeah, if you hit it hard, you are.
I would not recommend to the majority of our listeners to, as a general rule, hit the short putts hard. In fact, I would not hit them hard. You want to hit them firm, and like the ones you need to make if they're uphill, I would hit them hard. But generally, like, I'd hit them solidly.
Yeah, Bryson DeChambeau says that he did this little thing with the flagstick in where he hit the putt from 2 feet, 2.5 feet, and he hit 3 putts in a row there, and he said that's 5 miles an hour. They all hit the flag went in. He hit them all. He hit another 3 from the same place, hit them, hit 10 miles an hour. They all hit the flag went in. He hit the putt 5 miles an hour with the flag out. They all dropped in. He hit the float 10 miles an hour, and they all went through.
Really?
They all went through there. So his point wasn't about hitting the putt hard. It was leaving the flagstick in. I would say that if they go through the hole at 10 miles an hour, perhaps you don't want to hit them at 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But I do like a firm putt going in from short distance because it takes out most of the break.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Tiger is favorite for the PGA.
I think this is an easy one. I'm going to play it. He will be the money favorite. This is what we were getting at end of last year, going into the Masters, and coming off of the 15th major win and the 5th green jacket. This was not bottle lightning. This was not Jack Nicklaus drop bombs and shoot 30 on the back 9 and, you know, the magical Golden Bear charge. Tiger, by and large, the better part of last year, was one of the best players on the PGA Tour. I thought he was the best player tee to green Thursday through Sunday at Augusta, hit the most greens in regulation since Tiger did it at Augusta in 2001. Bethpage is a place that he's won before. I think he's going to be on a good schedule after this, really playing only one time in between. I think Tiger is by all means the odds-on favorite, the betting favorite, and I think the favorite in reality at the PGA Championship.
Well, I'm going to play it as a matter of fact that he will be the favorite. I mean, the betting favorite, he absolutely will be.
He came off 8-1 already.
Yeah, I mean, and it's probably going to, those odds are going to, and you know what? For for putting money on something, can you imagine getting 8-1 odds on a favorite? It's unheard of. I mean, if you were, if that was basketball, baseball, boxing, unless it's no hope, 8-1 is a phenomenal price to get for a favorite.
Well, it just shows you how difficult it is to win, and how, as Duval talked about, although David Duval, like yours truly on this show, picked Tiger going into the Masters. It's a bit of a fool's errand. Trying to pick a winner. It's a bit of a needle in a haystack thing.
Certainly is.
I think those of us who had the pulse on Tiger and the conviction, that he was going to do it in Augusta, feel validated in every way by sort of like what we saw and kind of what we think going forward.
Yeah, I think, whereas I think he's the money favorite, he would not be my favorite, but not my favorite pick. However, I will give you a little ditty here.
Okay.
Do you know how to find a needle in a haystack?
How's that?
Take your shoes and socks off. You will find that needle, I guarantee it.
Oh, Stuart the Gent Conway. Boom. That's what he gets the Stuart Conway money for, man. They don't accumulate that SCM with that wit like that. Last one, Braden Thornberry will be a tour star. Play it, drop it, roll it.
I'm dropping it.
Okay.
I think he's going to be a good tour player. I think he will make money on tour. I think he will win a few tournaments. But I don't think he's going to be a big star on the tour.
I'm going to roll it and not drop it outright.
Okay.
Because I think, for one, I like Braden Thornberry a lot.
Absolutely.
And I'd love to see him be a star on tour. I think it's more likely, right, that he's a fixture on tour.
Yes.
I'll go back to the Jonathan Randolph comparison as two guys from Ole Miss that we've seen up close. I think that to have a chance to be great on the PGA Tour, you have to have the one special weapon. You have to have something in your arsenal that is great, that is like second to none. When you talk about, the great hitters, Tiger, Rory, Phil, they hit it a friggin' mile.
Yeah.
They just hit it further than anybody else. Jordan Spieth with his 3 majors, his ability, to putt the eyes off the golf ball, as they say. Zach Johnson, great player. No one better with the wedges. I think Randolph, we've seen him make a run on the PGA Tour at keeping his card. I think his lack of that one special trait, he drives it pretty well, irons pretty well, putts, but it kind of keeps him in that 60 to 70 range. I think Thornberry's wizardry with the putter, I think his wizardry around the greens, if he can turn the screw, so to speak, on the ball striking ability, which is pretty good, that's why I'm gonna roll it and say there's at least a chance, because Thornberry does, I think, have that special gift, is able to, has the short game that even few guys on the PGA Tour have. I think that will give him a chance to be a special player on tour.
Yeah, I can concur with that. I can see that. And Braden Thornberry is the exact opposite of the LPGA Tour, because when that guy sees a putt, he walks up, boom, it's gone. So don't close your eyes, because it's already heading towards a hole.
Man. My man Braden tees it,
not mess around.
Tee it high, let it fly.
Yeah.
Well, Braden Thornberry made all the headlines in Oxford in his time playing college golf as the Haskins Award winner, NCAA national champion, and so forth. But it was the Rebel women who stole the show in golf this weekend with the SEC championship victory, their first in program history. It's the viral highlight of the weekend. Macy Samoski, the freshman, hits a 50-footer on the 18th hole in sudden death in the final match to send it to the playoffs with the SEC title on the line. We're going to be joined next by the Ole Miss women's coach, Kory Henkes. Can't wait for that conversation. He's Stuart the Gent Conway. I'm John Wiener. This is Play It Where It Lies.
The good, the bad, the hard in golf.
This is Play It Where It Lies. We're brought to you by Gulf States Golf Cars. He's Stuart the Gent Conway. I'm John Wiener, and we're excited to be joined right now. You talk about really making a splash and making the headline in college golf this weekend. Ole Miss women's golf wins the SEC championship, their first SEC title in school history, and Coach Kory Henkes joins us now. Coach, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on the title.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me on your radio show. It's truly an honor. So thanks again.
So just, Coach, before we get into the what happened and the dramatics and what an exciting weekend it was, just what does it mean for you as a coach for the program to win the SEC championship?
truly incredible. I mean, the group of girls we have, they just give 110% and work so hard day in and day out. And I think this is just the beginning for Ole Miss women's golf. And, it's really put us on the map now. And we have an incredible practice facility that's brand new. And I think that's a big contributing factor to why our players have improved so much. So they have some of the best facilities in the country to practice on day in and day out. And, it was really inspiring to watch how this all unfolded. And, it was just incredible.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. Now I know that you've had a lot of to do with the recruiting of new talent over there, and you've got quite a selection from Sweden and Italy and Starkville and Austin, Texas.
Sweden to Starkville.
It's quite the thing. How have you gone about recruiting to make this great team?
Well, we look for the best talent no matter where they're from. So I do a lot of international recruiting as well as, in the United States. And, Kennedy Swan on our team's a transfer from Clemson. So we're really lucky to pick her up because she's a solid player. And, we just, like I said, it doesn't matter where the player's from. As long as they're a good person, they work hard, they show us some grit, and that they, want to be the best golfer they can be, then we're all about that. So, we'll travel anywhere to find some good talent.
Coach, you come into the SEC tournament as an 8 seed. You got the final spot in the match play championships. What was the mindset going in? Did you get a feeling, say, hey, we're going to make a run and win this thing? Was it more, let's take it day by day and see how far we can go? Or just, I'm curious as to the approach of the team going into match play, being the 8 seed in what is, such a power conference as the SEC.
Yeah, you know what? We never even talked about the final match. We never talked about winning. It was more of let's take it day by day, shot by shot. Let's just, hit fairways and greens and, do our best and try not to let them beat us with birdie. So it was pretty incredible, and the girls did a great job of staying patient because the SEC, like you said, is top notch, and it's hard to beat so many of these teams. If you look at the rankings, there's several teams ranked in the top 20 in the country, and it's tough, but the girls really just did a great job of, like I said, just staying patient, trying to stay level-headed with their emotions. And it's important in match play to not get too high or too low at any point, just to try to keep as level as you can throughout the entire day. So honestly, we just took it match by match, and we just kept winning. And I think that was the key, is just to not get ahead of ourselves.
Well, the highlight from the weekend and the highlight match, Macy Samoski, your freshman, who won all 3 matches in match play over the weekend. But, Coach, she's got a 40-footer on the 18th hole. She's got to make it to force a playoff, and she finds the bottom of the jar. What an incredible putt. Kind of what were your thoughts just on that situation and her actually holing that thing?
Yeah, I was standing in the fairway. I walked with Connor Beth Ball the last 12 holes. And, we were standing back in the fairway, and it was actually a 51-foot putt because Macy stepped all her putts off. So she, we saw her make that, and we were just going nuts cheering for her back in the fairway because we knew what that meant. We knew that was to extend the match. And Macy was absolutely amazing this week. I mean, what a stud. You're talking nerves of steel. You got a freshman out there who her first tournament this whole season was in March when we went to the Dominican Republic, and it boiled down to every single match that we won was extra holes with Macy. So, I mean, I can't even say enough good things about how proud we are of Macy and what an awesome job she did for us this week.
Yeah, I heard you mention one thing there as you were talking about fairways and greens, and I was thinking about, did you go into it as that was your match play philosophy? If we hit fairways, if we hit greens, then we keep in the game all the time. Was that a real philosophy for you going forward with it?
Yeah, we talked about that with several players. To be honest with you, we had several players that were pretty nervous. They haven't been in this type of situation before. So the best thing we knew what to tell them what to do is, hey, let's just hit fairways and greens. Let's just keep it simple. If you need to go to the fat part of the green, do it. Make them have to make birdies to beat you. Because pars are going to get you pretty far in match play, so make them have to make a birdie.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of the mentality that we were taking. And I think when you kind of free yourself up like that a little bit, it allows you to hit some great shots, and you're going to hit some better shots than you thought, and give yourself some birdie opportunities. But it worked for us, and I think it was just a great approach for several of our players on our team.
Ole Miss women's golf coach Kory Henkes with us, and the Rebels took home the SEC championship in dramatic fashion, first title in school history. Coach, we've had Coach Malloy on this show in past years a few times, and Braden Thornberry as well, Jonathan Randolph as well, and the success that the men's program has been having, has that inspired you and the girls in any way in the program to say, hey, we want a taste of that and do that too?
Absolutely. I mean, we work as a family over at Ole Miss, and it's not really like the men's team, the women's team. We work as a program. Mm-hmm. So we really feed off of each other's success. And when we got home last night, the entire men's team was there to cheer us on, and that was just really special.
Awesome.
And, we've done the same for the men's program when they've had successful moments. And I think that helps a lot, because a lot of teams, they don't have that chemistry between the men's and women's program. And Coach Malloy and Coach Ellis are, two of my best friends, and we all just work really well together. And Coach Bird's a new addition to our staff, and he's doing an incredible job as well. But anytime you have someone like Braden Thornberry, who wins a national championship and the number one player in the world, it's just great to be around that kind of success day in and day out, and for our players to see how he practices and what his mentality is. And of course, they're only going to get better from being around someone as good as Braden Thornberry.
Yeah. And finally, Coach, so now you turn the page from the SEC championship. What's the schedule and the outlook for the team going ahead for the NCAAs?
Yeah, so we're giving them a day or so off, and they're ready to get back out there and practice some more. They're excited about regionals. We'll find out on Wednesday at 4:30 Central Time. They'll be on the Golf Channel as to where we go for our region. And then we'll leave probably, I think it's next Friday. Depending on where we go, we'll be leaving next week to go to our NCAA regional. So we're really excited and, going to give it our best to make another run at a national championship. And so we've got some work to do between now and then, but it's going to be great fun. And, we're just really looking forward to it.
Ole Miss women's golf coach Kory Henkes with us on Play It Where It Lies. The SEC champions for the first time in program history headed to the NCAAs. Again, you'll find the destination Wednesday on the Golf Channel, and we'll certainly be talking about it next week and the weeks to come. Coach, congratulations again, and we appreciate you on joining us. Good luck going forward.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you guys having me on your show today. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Coach. You too.
Thanks.
It's Ole Miss women's golf coach Kory Henkes on Play It Where It Lies. And Stuart, just real quick, the question that you asked was a good one, and I didn't, do my research like you did, obviously, and I knew sort of where some of the players were from, but I mean, you talk about casting a wide net. That's what you have to do in golf, and it's paying off.
Yeah, it is, and the United States and the schools in the United States have a distinct advantage because no other country has sports programs. Mm-hmm. And so this is the only place you can, get what we'll call a free ride at university by being able to play on a team of some description. And it's a great asset, and it's a great asset for those kids coming from overseas who are able to, improve their games, be taught by the best coaches. Her assistant is ex-professional golfer, played on several tours.
They've got a great staff up there on both sides. And, golf has become, and you and I have talked about through the years, it's not a revenue sport in the SEC, but it's a sport that matters in the SEC.
It certainly is.
And Ross Bjork and Ole Miss and, John Cohen at Mississippi State kind of made the switch and brought in a new guy when Ole Miss started to have success. But this is, they're all in Oxford.
Oh, I think so. And it's great news for golf in Mississippi.
Absolutely.
It just keeps the interest going and everything, makes it more at a local level for everybody, even though there are Swedes and Italians in it.
Well, you talk about the freshman, Macy Sabaski. To go 3-0 in playoff matches. Her team needed to win every one of them. And again, this is an 8 seed. This was a total underdog.
Yes, they were.
Ole Miss was not expected to even be a factor in this, and they win the whole thing, but a 50-footer downhill. She had to make it to stay alive, and DFC, you know what that means. It was right in the heart of the cup.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely incredible. Thanks to Kory Henkes for joining us. Glad you're with us here on Play It Where It Lies. Reminder, play it on your phone, play it in your car, play it on the course. Just play it where it lies. He's Stuart the Gent Conway. I'm John Wiener. More coming up.
When golf gives and takes away, you play it where it lies.
Gulf States Golf Cars, Highway 51 in Ridgeland. Charter partner here on Play It Where It Lies. Stuart Conway, the Gent. I'm John Wiener. Reminder, get the show. YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stuart, really wherever you can listen or watch anything today, we're there.
We're there.
And it's lying there. All you got to do is just play it. Took ISO Joe out. Oh, by the way, real quick. So the 5 hybrid call, Hack and Hank didn't like you hating on that 5 hybrid.
He did not like it.
He's a guy who will go to that 5 hybrid in a heartbeat.
I can take it for people. I can understand the necessity of it for certain players who want to use it. But it doesn't mean I have to like it.
No, it doesn't. and so like when he hits it on the rare occasion, he hits it to 5 feet with that club. Like you're gonna let him know.
Just because you can, maybe you shouldn't. I don't know.
Hack and Hank, Josh the Juice in here with us as well, alongside the Gent. I'm John Wiener. Stuart had an interesting quandary this weekend when it comes to golf here in the area. And again, so much of this show, we love the PGA Tour, but it's all about the spots that the game puts us in that we all play.
Right.
Have a new guy here, ISO Joe, working with us. Loves to play golf. Only started playing about a year ago. Not that, hadn't played that much, so just wanted to get out to a driving range, go hit some balls. And Sunday afternoon, and he texted me, said, where's a good driving range to go to here in the city? And I didn't have a great answer for him.
No, there is no great answer for him. As far as driving ranges go, there's a couple of the local golf courses that will allow you to buy balls on there, but they're not so local. They're
not
35,
local.
40 minutes away.
They're not so friendly for you to just walk up and just go hit balls. I know you can.
Yeah, and it's there's an underlying problem here that we don't have good practice facilities unless you're a member of a club. And that's where, particularly with that one club, which is shut down right now for renovations, and the hotel is being built.
Sure,
there,
the Refuge.
The Refuge, yeah. And
it's really like for my money, the best place for just your average, Joe Q public, as they say, to go hit most balls, because it was purely public and it was an actual decent range.
But apart from the balls with a 75% aqua
water,
balls, 75% travel or whatever they are, and difficult to judge distances, although I do believe they had the numbers in the lake, the posts in the lake.
See, y'all are doing way too much on the range with all this like judge distance stuff and like hit the ball on the face, man. Like you're doing so much on the range.
You've got to know how far you hit the ball.
Kind of. You got to hit it on the face first.
You do. But going on the driving range helps both. It helps you hit the ball on the face, and it helps you judge your distances. Distance is key in the game of golf.
But, and in terms of not just, again, we talk about the courses and we'll get there, but is it a market deal? I mean, the industry really well, because there was a Golf World in Jackson back in the day that was a mini golf place, but it was a legitimate place where you could just go. It was a driving range. Is that going out these days? Is in the country? I mean, is that not a thing? I mean, just a regular kind of driving range facility?
No, you travel around the country and you'll go on the highway, you'll pass driving ranges, open to the public, and
like just a range, no
just
course,
a range,
no
nothing there. They probably got a PGA instructor there. A great place to go to have lessons. You're not on the course. You're not tempted to run out
you're
there.
right, in San Antonio, now that I think about it. I mean, there's a great facility. It's now become a First Tee facility right next to Brackenridge, right by Trinity. And it's right there in the city, but it's just a full-scale range. Why is it in this city and in the metro area, Stuart, not just... Again, the ranges is the start of this conversation, but as I continued to Joe, I said, look, public golf in general in the metro area, really in Mississippi, but certainly here in the metro area, is just not very healthy. What's your take on it?
Well, my take on it is that public golf courses are in such bad condition and they're in such poor shape. And I'll give a shout out to Ison Harris over at City of Jackson. They've made some major changes to Sunny Guy Golf Course.
Okay.
But it's not close. You've got to drive out there. And if you live anywhere north of the city, it's taking you a long time to get there. So it's not close.
Let alone people having to ditch their preconceptions of going to Sunny Guy in the first place, which is a fair point. People want to be comfortable when they're playing golf.
They are. But it's I've said this for a long time, and I love the idea of the first tee. I love that we're trying to attract youngsters into the game and everything. Mm-hmm. But this is part and parcel of this to me. And I've always believed the USGA has served golf poorly in public golf. And I think that they should have had a lot more money and resources put into developing a public golf facility, which includes driving range and golf course, in cities and around cities like Jackson, Mississippi, whereby all the money, all the funds are, and all the commercials and commercialism is poured into the first tee. And we missed a golden opportunity here when Colonial Country Club closed down.
Okay.
We could have had a premier public golf facility, but we chose to let it go, and we chose to let it go to developers who are going to build shopping, housing, whatever else it might be there. There was a great golf course there which lent itself perfectly to public golf. It was accessible to everybody, north, south, and central. And we let these things go on, and I will blame the USJ for it. They need to step in and do things like this. And they don't need to put the money in, but they're the ones who have the ability to get funding together, get groups together, look at different ways, different avenues to make these things work.
This is going to sound, honestly, and I didn't expect it to, along the strains of a political conversation that we've had in this country prominently over the last 2 years. But in effect, it's like the middle class, the everyday guy, has sort of been overlooked.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really thought about it in that sense, but it's a great point. Certainly there's a large percentage of the golf industry that caters to the 1%, the elite, the exclusive, whether it's Trump Doral or just, Annandale. I mean, you're catering to the rich.
Yes.
And then, as you point out, there's all this outreach to bring, inner city kids and low income people, and at the very other end of the spectrum, which is commendable, as you point out.
Indeed.
But to me, the health of the game, where it really has to be, is where you're talking about the average Joe, the lower to upper middle class that's not going to have the money to join Annandale or Reunion, but wants a better golf experience than a municipal dog track. And the difference in getting those people to play 4 times a year versus once a month, and I think you're kind of family of 2, 12 to 20 handicap kind of guy. I think that you're right. I think that is the person. I think the Metro is a great example of that. There's a big gap between the people who are members at Annandale and Reunion, and then the Live Oaks, Sunny Guy, LaFleur's Bluff sort of area, and there's not a lot of area for the middle ground.
No, there really isn't. And it's not just the person who doesn't have money or has money, or what it is. It's the person who doesn't play a lot of golf.
You're right, and that's important.
And he doesn't want to join a club,
right?
Because he plays only 6 or 7 times a year. But it might be a lot of people. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there. And you're right, because I think it would encourage them to play more if they had a place that was reasonably priced and it was a good experience to go. It wasn't a cow pasture. They weren't hitting out of mud bunkers, and long grass on the fairways and dandelion-filled greens. It's
and in Mississippi, we are in a state. We're in one of the poorest states in the country.
Indeed.
One of the most rural states in the country, and one of the poorest cities in the country. So we have to keep it in mind that, as you know, golf, it's all expensive. It takes a lot of money. There are really good public courses, I think, in this state, like the state park courses, Dogwoods, Percy Quinn, down in Macomb, that I think find the right balance in terms of they're in good enough condition where, it doesn't bother you, can be an enjoyable round, but it's still, $30, $40, and it's affordable. And I think we need, those are sort of few and far between. You got to go 2 hours to Grenada or an hour and a half down to Macomb.
Yeah, that's right. And even Grenada now, they've abandoned all their bunkers now.
Don't hit it in there.
Yeah,
that's what I tell people. Don't hit it in the bunkers.
Yeah, but there's no bunkers anymore. It's just overgrown grass.
But see, that's an example. Like they don't have the
funds to do it. No,
they don't have the funds.
No,
they have to make hard choices. And for me, I think they have chosen to tee boxes, greens, and not that they're great, but like if you only have certain money to spend, I'll be with you. You have to get on the green. You don't have to be in the bunker. In fact, it's even more incentive to not get in the bunker. But I just think that's an example of a course that's doing what they can with limited funds, and they say we're going to scale back on the bunkers, and so that maybe we can try to keep the greens and fairways.
I agree. Bunkers are expensive. But you know, I mean, I don't know. You've just got to give people an experience, and having overgrown grass and weed growing in old sand, it doesn't aesthetically look good. Doesn't make it a pleasing experience.
One missed opportunity. You talk about Colonial. I've been on record with this numerous times. Another state park course that has similarly a spectacular layout. Dogwoods, Percy Quinn, even the course in Sardis, Mallard Point. They're significantly interesting layouts because it's state park land, so you get a ton of elevation. You're in beautiful areas, lots of woods and trees. I mean, I've talked about I don't like house golf, teeing off in front of someone's porch. Even though it's nicer conditions, you know, at your country club, I'd rather be out in the woods. But LaFleur's Bluff is another, you know, course with a great layout. It could be a gem of a golf course. It could be an absolute gem. And I think in today's age, where 9 holes is all the more kind of up people's alley. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I wish I had a course right by my house. I could go play 9 holes. LaFleur's could be that course in so many ways, but it not only suffers from the Mississippi, you know, lack of funding that the state parks experience. They get even less attention because it's here in the city of Jackson.
In the city of Jackson, yeah. And this may not be unique to us here in Jackson, Mississippi. This may be something.
What do you think? I mean, you've traveled around.
I do.
I think it's fairly unique here. I won't say unique. I think it's a problem here more so than like any other city I've been to.
Yeah,
what do you think?
know, I haven't generally been to smaller towns of this size.
Okay.
You know, and so it's hard. When I go to places, you go to Birmingham, Alabama, they have the best public courses anyway. You can
I think that's a great example. Birmingham and Jackson, we put those on a similar pedestal in a lot of ways in terms of size and location and type of city. I think Birmingham and the whole Robert Trent Jones Trail in Alabama is Stuart, you hit it right on the head, and it's going to get me aggravated to talk about it because that's a great example that it can be done in a deep south southern city, and Birmingham, Alabama is just a panacea for public golf.
Yeah, I mean,
3 hours away from here.
Yeah, they just played the ladies just played there in Hoover.
I know.
You know, at Greystone, which isn't a public course, but
the Robert Trent Jones course is there.
I've played on Ballantrae, which is a pay and play course, and it's like $45 to play there, and it is immaculate. And
the Robert Trent Jones courses have created that in the state where there's affordable golf, championship golf all across the state. Right there in Birmingham, there's 2 different courses. You can play Ross Bridge in the afternoon for $50. So you can't have another course, 2 miles away that's charging $100.
No.
So Alabama is as good an example as any. It someone that's gotten it right.
Yeah, they have got it right there, no doubt. As a golfer, they've got it right.
I'll give a quick shout out to Nathan Crace over at the Refuge.
Indeed,
I thought that they had, as much as anybody, done a really good job at finding that niche that we're talking about for sort of the not the everyday sort of average Joe golfer, in that you got a really good golf course experience on a course that was generally in pretty good condition that you didn't have to pay $120 for, but also was as far from kind of your lower end municipal tracks as you wanted to get. I think there's a big hole here in the city now, especially without the Refuge, and the Range is yet another good example. But I thought Nathan and everyone over there associated with the Refuge had done a good job of kind of getting that right.
I think so, and I think that having spoken with Nathan, as we both have, we've toured the renovations there of the golf course. It's going to be a more playable, a better experience there, and he promises the price isn't going to really change very much, and that's the way we need it to be.
Yeah. A lot of people anxious. A lot of you tuning in here to Play It Where It Lies. We're YouTube, Facebook, where you can see the show. You can see it on Twitter as well. We're at Bash Bros Media, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. Golf puts you in tough spots. We play it where it lies, and certainly public golf in Mississippi, right there up that alley, and really enjoyed that conversation. Hope you did as well. We're going to wrap up with our Play It Where It Lies award and Punch Out. We'll be back.
Tee it up with us every week on all the Bash Brothers platforms.
This is Stuart Conway and John Wiener, and we're coming up to our Play It Where It Lies awards. You got a big surprise for us today?
I don't know if it's that much a surprise. We just got through talking with her 15 minutes ago. But seriously, when you talk about Ole Miss women's golf, they're going to get my Play It Where It Lies award, because they are not a program that's expected to have success on that stage.
Correct.
They got into the SEC tournament match play by the skin of their teeth. as the 8th seed. And in every single match, we're up against it. We're into playoff territory. And Macy Samoski, specifically, freshman, not once, not twice, but 3 times up against it in a pressure situation to win in the playoffs. I just think they were given an opportunity they didn't expect getting into it in the first place, and talk about seizing the opportunity, taking yourself from a spot where not many people are looking at you and considering you, and not just, getting it on the green, but again, DFC right in the heart of the cup, and to win the SEC championship for their first program first title in program history. I think it's a good week to give the Ole Miss women's golf team the Play It Where It Lies award, first SEC championship in school history.
Great award, and well deserved.
I think so too.
I'm almost sticking with ladies as well.
Okay,
I'm giving mine to Brooke Henderson.
Yeah.
Brooke Henderson.
Well, after you bagged on the ladies for most of the show, it's good that you give Brooke the award.
I'm giving it for 2 reasons to Brooke Henderson, or maybe 3. The first one, of course, is that, not only did she win this tournament, she was a repeat winner, which we all know how hard it is to win, let alone repeat at the same course. The second reason is Brooke Henderson's dancing. It was dreadful. it was the worst attempt at a Hawaiian dance I've ever seen in my life. And she has a lot more class and a lot more style, and probably, a whole lot more moves than she was showing there than standing with her and her sister together there.
What were they? Were they supposed to
do? They were supposed to do the Hawaiian little thing, which I'm pretty bad at it too.
But as long as you're showing us,
there, I'm pretty good at the finger
those of you
drives
listening
and
to the
things,
podcast, make sure you check out Facebook and YouTube to see Stuart's Hawaiian dance.
But I think this now cements Brooke Henderson as maybe the best Canadian golfer ever, male or female.
She threw out it's such a blessing to be compared to Mike Weir. What? Who? But again, Mike Weir certainly was a great Canadian player.
Sure
and,
he was.
Weir won his major, but he was a big-time player on tour for a while.
He was.
Brooke Henderson is a star.
Yes.
She is a rock star in Canada. And another example to go all the way back to our Play It, Drop It, Roll It, where I think the LPGA Tour is infinitely more interesting than the Champions Tour. Brooke Henderson is a great example why.
Brooke Henderson is one star in a lonely sky.
Okay.
There's maybe 3 or 4 of them, but I can't pronounce half the names out there anymore, and I think it doesn't help on the LPGA Tour, and I don't want to get into this. We'll go into this another time, but it doesn't help American audiences that there are no American players that are.
It's a massive
we've lost
problem.
We've lost.
It's not
Stacey
a
Lewis
problem. It's a
Christy.
problem for American attention.
Yes, it is.
Other than essentially Lexi Thompson, and now we'll see what happens with this. We saw the Augusta Amateur Invitational a few weeks ago, and what great star, young women players that there were. Yeah. I think it's a fair point. It's happened a little bit in Major League Baseball. I think that the decline in Americans' attention is in somewhat related to sort of the influx of Latin American players and the drop in sort of American stars, your lack of Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr.'s and Mark McGuire's of the world and Roger Clemens and so on and so forth. I think it's a good point with the LPGA. I also see every week, because I do like watching the LPGA, them trying to show us the personality of the South Koreans, show us that they are and they are, obviously, and it's so easy to sort of almost dangerous in a way to kind of paint, generally with broad strokes, but there's no question that it's a challenge for American viewers and a challenge for the LPGA Tour to getting the Americans connect. But I'll sign up to watch Brooke Henderson all day, man. I mean, she's fun.
She's fun to watch.
She's a star. She's got some star
One
power
of the
out
few
there.
fun to watch people.
Let's punch out on Play It Where It Lies. What you got? Anything good?
Well, I'm just punching out now with my thing on the USGA, and I'm just saying that I really would like to get into somebody's head in the USGA and find out what they're really thinking. Is going to improve this game. I think the rules rollout was just awful this year.
Pretty much a disaster,
and I
right?
just want to say that please, can somebody come on and explain to us what the rationale is for some of these decisions you're making? Because it is not improving the game, and it's not speeding up the game.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It seems like it's only kind of made the problems worse in a way and the questions bigger or just different, more pressing ones. Sounds like we've got some guest booking work to do because we do want to get to the bottom of that. I'll just punch out with, it's always fun to take a beginner out to play.
Yes, it
Went
is.
out with ISO Joe. It was a nice Sunday afternoon. Went to the driving range, and I think we need. I was impressed how you worked with another beginner who I brought to you. I think Joe could benefit from it. You ever notice how you see people play and you can tell that they have never played, but you can tell that there's some talent in the hands. Like he's kind of got that. Like there are some guys who play their whole lives and they're hopeless.
Yeah.
Like I play with a kid my whole life. Like he lines up, he's not going to hit the ball straight. Like you can just tell, like the ball has no chance to go straight. And I'm like, how have you played golf like your whole life? And like it's still there's no shot at the ball going straight. Like Joe's got some real hope, you know. So I'm excited to like go on the voyage with him.
I think we call it athleticism in golf.
Athleticism, talent, know-how, hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, whatever.
You know, he was a baseball player, like pitched in college, and I generally think that like the hand-eye coordination, whether baseball, basketball, these guys like when they get it, they become really good really quickly. Like the growth curve is really quick.
Pitchers in particular, boy, they can hit the ball a long way. They got some power in those upper body.
You could see Joe. He kind of did this like all wrist swing, but like the ball came out hard and it turned over, so you could tell like that. There's just the natural hit. You know, was there a little bit.
It's a good job he was a pitcher because hitters don't tend to do as well.
No,
it's a bad combination, baseball and golf.
I used to have that excuse playing golf. As a baseball swing, but I'm gonna have to take up like beer league softball so I can have that excuse again.
I just need to take a beer league.
Beer league golf, man. That's all we're doing. Is play it where it lies. It's a good way to get out. Stuart the Gent Conway, always a pleasure.
John, you too, man.
Speaking of beer league, I think Masters Hangover Show. I think we did a good job with it. It was fun.
I think we did. Time for a beer.
Big thanks to Kory Henkes, Ole Miss women's golf coach, for joining us. Congratulations to them again on a big SEC championship. We encourage you to spread the word about Play It Where It Lies. Share it, like it, wherever you're watching or listening to us. Big shout out always to our director, Hack and Hank, Josh the Juice on the ones and twos, our audio tech. Play it on the phone, play it in your car, play it on the course. As always, just play it where it lies. For Stuart, I'm John. Join us next week.
Thanks for joining Play It Where It Lies, a Bash Brothers media golf show and podcast, driven by Gulf States Golf Cars.